So my name is Raeleen Draper. I am the Environmental Operations Senior Project Officer for the Coastal Constructed Water Bodies and Planning Team within Council. I'm going to have a chat to you today about some of the projects that we've been doing on the coast for the last few years, looking at our plankton communities and especially jellyfish. So our project's actually called the Climate-Induced Species Migration. It started back in 2017 because there was a little known northern species that kind of popped up in Fraser Island and kind of caused a bit of a concern within our tourism industry that there might be a bit of a southward shift of this little nasty little critter. So we decided to set about and have a look and see what we actually even have here on the Sunshine Coast when it comes to a gelatinous plankton. And basically, there really isn't a whole lot known. The museum, actually, the Queensland Museum, only has about 20 records of jellies that have been collected on the Sunshine Coast. Already in the last 4 years, we have actually collected over 34 different species, and we've actually found a few new species known to science as well. So our main aim is to have a look and see if there is a northward shift, mainly of Crickia barnesii. And for those of you that don't know what that one is, I am only going to use this word once, and that is the word irukandji. So I'm not going to use that again, but that is essentially what the program came down for, and just to see if it is migrating south. I will say that now, they are not. But anyway, we're also creating a bit of a baseline data set of what we have on the coast. And now we're starting to notice a bit of a shift as well in the species that we're finding. So we're starting to see a little bit of a seasonality, and we can almost now predict each month what we might actually find. So we are then also looking at the impacts of climate change. So we've seen La Nina this year has been quite different to the El Nino from last year. So that's something else we're also noticing as well. And this project is currently funded by the Environment Levy as well. So how do we jellyfish? Well, we're not like SpongeBob, I can almost guarantee that, although some of my members might be very reminiscent of Patrick. We do use a plankton net, as you can see Renee holding up on the wharf there down at the Powerboat Club, Caloundra. It's a 700 micron net. We got them specially made down in Tasmania. Dr. Lisa Ann Gershwin from the CSRO back then advised us on what we needed to be using and the methodology as well. So she set up our program for us and also assisted us into where to actually collect our samples from as well. We use a fairly large clear bucket, I guess, with a black background underneath so we can actually see these type of things. Now, some of these jellies are quite small, so most of my team does have good eyesight, although those that don't, I do suggest to bring their glasses. We have 7 different locations that we sample on the coast. We have 2 in the passage, so Powerboat Club, and then Maloja Jetty as well. We have 2 within the Mooloolah River, La Bolsa, and at the MSQ Police Wharf. We have 2 within the Maroochy River at La Bolsa, Cotton Tree and Najor, and then we do 1 offshore sampling off Majimba Island as well. We do a little bit of a different methodology with our offshore sampling. We follow Dr. Jamie Seymour's methodology with that one, and we actually use a light at night to attract any said small square cubozoid creature towards us. Now, the reason we do that is that those cubozoids that we are looking for, cubozoans that we're looking for, do have eyes, and they are predatory. So at nighttime, they're more inclined to actually come and have a look and see what we're doing. Again, not found any, just saying. So with our survey timings, we generally try to do our samplings within 2 hours of an incoming high tide, and our offshore samplings is taken at night under light. So these are some of our common inshore species that we've found. Teratopsis, also known to some as the immortal jellyfish. One of the most interesting life cycles of these guys in that they actually do not die. So as their cells degrade and they fall down to the sediments, their cells are actually still alive and they regenerate themselves back into a polyp. So they're technically known as the immortal jelly. It's absolutely amazing. And these guys have no brains, mind you, and they're not actually classified as animals either, just saying. So, but they're pretty cool, and they're actually teaching us a lot about what my boss likes to call sentient beings. We usually do find teratopsis generally in November, have been finding a lot literally last week as well, so they're still around in quite heavy numbers. But they're an inshore species, and that photo there is under like a 700 times microscope. So like I said, good eyesight. The other little guy next to it is called a bougainvillea, and no, it's not the plant, and no, it's not spiky. Again, it's another common inshore species. This one actually, Lisa identified as being only about 24 hours old, which actually tells us that there's polyps within the Pumicestone Passage. So somewhere in our estuarine areas, more than likely on some mangroves, those polyps will be sitting and then releasing those medusae throughout that sort of seasonal area as well. If I had more time, I'd go into the jellyfish life cycle, but I won't now. But it is pretty cool. They do have multiple stages within the life cycle as well. Bougainvillea, again, usually see pretty much throughout our sampling. We sample from November to March. And yeah, usually a little bit bigger than that one. That one was probably only about 2 mil long. The one next to it's called an obelia, or a 5-spot jelly. You can notice that there are distinct 5 spots. The one in the middle is its stomach. The other 4 are its gonads. It's known as a hydrozoan, again, another common inshore species, one we see quite regularly. And yeah, he's quite a cute little one. We've got a few that look like him actually, so it takes a bit to identify when they're really tiny. But those ones can get up to about 0.5 centimetre. Now, these 3 are a little bit more special. We have seen these ones when we have our oceanic upwellings. Now, an oceanic upwelling is when you have the deep, cold water being brought to our surface. So usually see that when you have kind of, not so much a northerly wind, but you have that big, beautiful deep water coming up, bringing these more oceanic species that we then see. The first one is called, and I'm going to pronounce it wrong, I know it, is Nanamia. It's a cyphozoan. So if anyone knows what I've seen a blue bottle before. Blue bottle is also a cyphozoan. So it actually has like 4 individual zooids and it needs all of them to live. This is another one of those. These guys popped up when we had no blue bottles around and we had a whole lot of stings on Mooloolaba Beach. So we actually think that these guys were responsible for that when we got on the phone to the lifesavers as well. They are a multiple complex colony animal and can get to probably, I think the biggest specimen we had was about 5 centimetres long. Very, very clear though. So often when you're swimming with them, you'll think that they're just sea lice. Well, that's what most people call them anyway. The next one is called a liriope. Now, we got a little bit excited when we found a liriope because it is known to be within the community that those northern species travel with. So the northern species always come up on an oceanic upwelling in northern Queensland, and liriope is generally always with them. So the first time we found a liriope, I think I was sampling every second day just to make sure we weren't getting any of those other northern species. So it is a common community member with those. Biggest one I've seen is about 2 centimetres, so not stingy. They're not, there's nothing dangerous. They're quite cute, and they do look very similar to a lot of the inshore species that we have as well. The other one that comes with the liriope is the salps. Now, salps can get quite large. This little guy was pretty small, but we do get quite large ones. You'll see them like big clear blobs, often at a chain as well. Again, those oceanic upwellings bring them, and also another indicator species with those northern species that we're looking for as well. Yeah, so they're our fun ones. They're the ones we like to find because they give us something interesting. We haven't seen many of them this year, that's for sure. The other thing that we find is lots and lots of babies, which of course we're sampling in estuaries, and estuaries breed baby fish. They also breed baby jellyfish. The Pumicestone Passage is absolutely perfect for this. So the juvenile Cassiopeia, so that is our upside down jellyfish. It was found at the Powerboat Club for 2 months in a row. They are very, very common within Lake Magellan and within our seagrass beds. You will find them pretty much everywhere on the coast through summer. Quite exciting to find some smaller ones though. That's not common to actually see them around. So we're quite lucky with that one. The next one's a juvenile Aurelia, which is a moon jelly. I have a funny feeling I spelt that wrong too. So please ignore the spelling. You spell check. So the juvenile moon jellies as well, which also means that we're having polyps in our estuarine area of those moon jellies. Not a common species that we see off in our ocean waters as well. So quite interesting that even though like the passage is a feeder for those species that we may not actually see within our own coastal waters, which is quite cool. Now, the other one, again, I said that I hadn't found any nasty northern cubozoans, but this year we did actually find a juvenile cubozoan. Now, we think it's of the Chironex species, so that's, of course, the box jellies. You can tell that, and I don't know if I've got a little pointery thing. No, I don't. It's actually got 4 eyes, and 4 large rapalia. Now, at that size, it's only about 48 hours old. We can't actually tell what it's going to grow, well, what it would have grown up to be. It's now preserved in formalin and with Lisa Ann Gershwin. So she'll hopefully be able to identify what species that one is for us into the future. Now, these are some of the new species that we found. As I said, 2 of them are definitely new to science, and the third one inadvertently was released. So the first one that you can see there with the kind of green belly, we think it might be part of the Caribidae family, but Lisa Ann Gershwin is currently describing that one for us at the moment. The little brown guy, he got to live another day. We didn't realise we'd found a new species. We thought, oh no, he's fine, we'll just chuck him back. Yeah, no, should have kept him. But anyway, and then that third little blobby one is definitely another species, and also again with Dr. Lisa Ann Gershwin for identification. So I'll quickly wrap this all up because I think I've had my 2 minutes. We're currently setting up a citizen science contribution as well. So we have some beautiful photos from some wonderful reef check volunteers and also turtle care volunteers that they've been contributing to me via email. So I've just set up a project through iNaturalist. It is in development and I will work on it. But if you are interested, please let me know if you'd like to contribute any photos to that one as well. If you want any more information about the program, have a look at those links up there as well. We're constantly updating the ELS website and also our Bush Hands newsletter as well. So as I said, we've found currently 33 species with 2 new to science that are currently being described. Yeah, thank you very much.
We have one question while Michelle makes her way up. Are there any freshwater species of jellyfish?
Yes. Yes, definitely freshwater species of jellyfish. Not so much here on the coast. Palau, if anyone's been over to that sort of area, they have a beautiful lake filled with freshwater, kind of a blue blubber species that people can swim with, which I hope to do one day. So yes, there are freshwater jellyfish species over there. I'm pretty sure there's a few species around as well, but Dr. Lisa Ann Gershwin and the Jellyfish app would definitely be a better place to get more information about that one. Thanks.